Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mira Scarlett, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create custom stencils with freezer paper using the Brother ScanNCut SDX125e. To begin, first retrieve your cut file and transfer it to your ScanNCut machine. I drew out my design with a digital art program and turned it into a cut file using the Brother CanvasWorkspace. If you'd like to learn more about turning images into cut files for this machine, I'll put a link in the description to my previous video going over it. Once you have opened your file, you can edit it directly on the LCD screen if necessary for your project. I needed two of the same stencil, so I duplicated the image, flipped it, and positioned it to where I wanted it to be cut on the freezer paper. I'm using a 12 by 12 cutting mat, so I cut my freezer paper down to a 12 by 12 inch square. Ideally, you want to have some extra paper bordering the outside edges of the stencil so that when you press it onto your fabric, it'll stick better and make it less likely that you will get any paint outside of your stencil. Feed your cutting mat into the machine with the freezer paper stuck to it shiny side down. Make sure it's stuck down better than here. I didn't notice it was puckering and bubbling up until after I filmed this. Once you've made sure all of your settings are correct and your stencil is placed where you want it, you can begin the cutting process. Once done, you can remove it from the mat and pick out any excess paper from the stencil. And look at that, your stencil's ready to go. Here you can see how the freezer paper has a matte side and a shiny side. Remember that the shiny side will always be down. That is the part that sticks to the fabric. You'll need an iron to adhere the freezer paper to your fabric, shiny side down. Turn off the steam and set the temperature to synthetic or wool setting and press for 5 to 8 seconds over every inch of the stencil, especially the edges where you'll be painting. This will create a temporary bond to the fabric that can be easily peeled off later, but if you're worried about it at all, definitely do a test piece. Once your stencil is set, you can begin painting. For this project, I used a gold metallic fabric paint. Brush on the paint in light layers to prevent excess paint seeping through the stencil edges. You can always add more layers. Another tip is to try and paint away from the stencil edges so you won't accidentally push paint underneath. Therefore, keeping your final design as clean as possible. You can use a hairdryer to speed up the drying process, but don't get impatient. Make sure the paint and stencil is completely dry before trying to peel off the freezer paper. Since my design goes around the curve of a sleeve, yes, it is much smarter to do this before sewing the sleeves so that you have a nice flat surface to work on, which I did do for the outer sleeves, but I originally was going to forego this extra detail on the inner sleeves and ended up changing my mind at the last moment. I had to cut my stencil in half and paint it in parts because of this. This is definitely not the way to go unless you have to, but this goes to show that it's doable. I even used this technique for painting an intricate design over busty princess seams, which was a bit of a pain, but it turned out lovely. Using this method is great for adding detail to costumes or even jazzing up existing clothing you already own. It's much cheaper than using heat transfer vinyl, though it comes with the risk of a slightly imperfect result. However, I think this method is fantastic for anyone new to cosplay because the materials and tools needed to do this are readily available at home or easy to find at local stores. I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyed all the satisfying stencil peels. To help support the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe, and click the bell icon if you'd like to be notified of future videos. Happy crafting, everybody!